Is it on go or is it on three or is it on one?
Problematic.
I'm Marquise.
Problematic. Problematic. Cookout podcast. Here, Sito in the building. Problematic.
It's your boy Juju.
Problematic. Cookout podcast. Problematic.
Yo, what did my man just say then?
Problematic.
Yo, you're listening to Mr. Rock.
Problematic. Cookout podcast.
Okay, welcome one and all to another cookout with the four chefs as we cook up another plate for you all to digest. I'm here with my brothers from another mother. Introduce yourselves, boys.
It's your boy Sito in the building. Whoop whoop.
It's Marquise.
And your boy Juju, as always, in the building.
And I'm your host today, Mr. Rock.
How's things been since the last time we cooked up?
Man, we've been good, bro. Like, my life is finally getting somewhat back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know when y'all listening to this, but, you know, coming out of Labor Day weekend. Yeah, times are good. Can't complain.
Okay, Sid, been up to anything?
Yeah, man, I've been chefing it up for my loved ones and family. You know, just I'm gonna have to bring it to a real cookout when we have it and actually throw down, because I was throwing down all weekend.
Okay, Marquise, what's been going on, G?
Oh man, not much. Just working on my fits. I got a fresh pack of white teas because
Yay.
Working on my fit.
White teas,
That's that white tees,
bro.
Was this the early 2000s, though?
that's it, bro.
And he got them new do-rags, too.
I got
Hey, the franchise boys in the
Yeah,
house.
he got
man.
that money do-rag on.
you already know. But yeah, man, not much, bro. I've just been chilling. I've been waiting actually for this episode.
Okay,
Snap.
cool.
Ready to go.
Snap.
All right, so as the evenings are getting darker, out come the hoodies, the jeans, and soon our winter jackets. So more of us will be staying at home a lot more this winter due to the state of the world right now, the Rona. So we want to give you some interesting topics to think about, things to help you use your time effectively and constructively with the hope of expanding your outlook on the world's events. So, as you can hear my smooth tones caressing your eardrums, it must be my week to host and share more about the man with the straight face. So as you can hear my smooth tones that are caressing your eardrums, so it must be my week to host and share more about the man with the straight face. Okay, as an elder statesman, I may have sometimes different perspectives of life, the world, relationships, and technology. So with that said, let's put the first thing on the grill and get it cooking. So the first topic I want to speak about this week is Elon Musk's Neuralink implant. Have any of y'all heard about that so far? Seen any of the videos or anything going on?
They tested that thing on pigs, didn't they?
Yeah. So just give you a little bit of a background about this. So it's a subject on the minds of technologists and also the average Joes. They're all talking about this at the minute. With that in mind, I want to focus on the current topic, which is implants. So we have different type of implants, but the implants that we're thinking about now is the ones that they're going to be putting in people's brains, right?
Well, they don't want the other ones anymore. We
we moved on. Past
We doing
those.
improved. We doing
Gotcha.
improved.
We'll come back to those two later on, all right?
Oh, man.
So he's recently unveiled his new device that is implanted into a pig's brain. Okay, so they're giving this pig a name of Gertrude, and what it does, they have implanted it into the brain, and it focuses on the neurons that are being active when the pig actually uses its snout, so when it's smelling and sniffing for food.
Yeah.
And what they're doing with that is bringing it back into the computer and looking at the data from it and thinking about like how they can start using that to, you know, start manipulating how the body might function, the senses that are coming from the pig snout, for example, and how they can use that to, you know, impact other parts of the body and so on. So sometimes there might be a disconnect between, for this example, the nose of the snout of the pig and the brain. They might be able to bridge that gap with this new technology. So of recent times, just over a year ago, they were testing this out, and they had it where the device was actually outside the person's head. So the device was there, and the neurons and the links were implanted into the brain through the skull. A year later now, they're actually implanting that into the skull. So that's just in a year. Okay, so it's crazy, like how we think about technology and how quickly it moves. And that's, one of the main topics I want to talk about today is this new tech. So future uses of it. He's talking about like how we can start helping people that have spinal injuries. So, if they've got completely paralyzed from the neck down, for example, thinking about how they can bridge the brain over that gap in the spinal cord and use the brain still to impact how the body will move. Okay, so it's going to relate that to a computer, which will then relate that to the brain and back and forth and so on. So they're going to try and help with, paraplegics and so on.
So you'll be able to like still act like a normal person, like even though you're paralyzed potentially.
So the main thing they're focusing right now is just bringing people back to some type of normality. So if you weren't able to move your arms or your legs, or you wouldn't be able to feel, then they're going to bring those elements back into your body, and just using the neural link to link between the gap in the spinal cord and the brain. They're also talking about like how they can then use the information that's coming from the brain to link to a computer. So sharing data and information between the human's brain and the computer. So say, for instance, we look at our mobile devices, for example, and we get our information through our eyes, and we, type in on the screen to find a specific web page that's going to give us the data. Soon, what they want after this this part where it's going to help the body, they want to make it help the brain, so they can turn people into like a superhuman, in effect, with the support of technology.
Sounds like they're about to take that. You guys ever watch that movie where the guy takes that one pill and then it unlocks
the
like,
limitless?
Yeah. Bradley Cooper, do it. Man.
We think about these things, and the way technology progresses so fast, and nowadays it's an increasing speed. From 1 minute you're seeing something that you think, oh, that's never going to exist, and then a year later it actually exists.
Yeah.
So he's talking about, like, in the future, these types of devices that are implanted into brains, they're going to be like as cheap as buying a mobile phone or buying a smartwatch. Okay, and they're going to have, and they already have actually, a machine that's a surgeon. So it's all automated where, the person can just lie there and the machine will do all the work in terms of, cutting the skull, putting the implant in, putting the neurons in, and all that kind of stuff.
You got me messed up if you think I'm going to trust a machine to go into my brain.
That's what I'm saying.
You got me all the way messed up.
They first messed up naming that pig Gertrude, man. What kind of
that's what I was about to say. Why would you give it a name?
I was like, nah, you gotta give it a name, but why Gertrude, bro? Like, there's so many sci-fi references we got, and then you go with Gertrude. Like, who that? Like, come on, man.
And that's how they thought. They're like teaching that pig like how to walk on the treadmill and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they're able to read the brain to predict where the joints are moving and so on.
Yeah.
And one last thing I wanted to add to that. He was talking about that in the future they will be able to record your memories, save them, and then replay them back to you from a computer.
Stop.
I don't know about that, man.
I don't know if you guys
Well, hold on. How deep we think we're talking now? Like,
bro, if I see since you put the thing in your head, bro. Like,
but like, what are you talking about when you say memory? Because like, is it recording my thoughts now? Because if I see little shorty going down the street and I have a little naughty thought. Is that being recorded? Because that's going to end up some marriages quick.
Your head, like,
and the divorce rate's going to go up.
Just play back.
Yeah. So with all these things said, one of the main questions is how do you see mankind in the future? Do you think this is going to be something that's going to be beneficial? Do you think it's going to have a negative impact, or how do you see the future for yourselves through this?
I mean, it depends how it's used, right? Because like like you were talking about, for paraplegic people, for disabled people that really need the service, that's really, really cool. But as soon as we start talking about chips inside of people, me, I'm still, I don't know.
How about
at
you,
the
Mark?
same time, when you think about crime rate, stuff like that, that probably goes down because although you're always tracking people, maybe we need to, maybe we need to track each and every move of every people. But I don't know. It's a little invasive. Like it depends to what. Yeah. But at the same time, people probably would have never thought that we would be where we are now. Where you hop in your car now, and your phone just says like 30 minutes to work. And I'm like, hold on, how you know I'm going to work? Like people 20 years ago probably never imagined that a phone would ever be able to do that.
Yeah.
So
or when your phone talking to you or whatnot.
Yeah. So we already are at a spot where it's so different than like no one would have imagined that we would be here. That's probably where the world is going anyway. It's just going to keep, our world's just going to keep developing.
Yeah. Marquise, what's your thoughts, man?
I mean, like, I get all that, but like, I don't know. I don't think we want too much change too quickly. Like, people don't really like change, and I feel like if we have these kind of inventions that I agree they're going to help people and all that, I feel like we shouldn't move too fast because someone might find a little loophole and use it for something that's it's obviously not meant to be used for.
Hack your brain or something.
Yeah. So like, and just actually speaking of hacking the brain, because like they're going to try to analyze and figure out how if they can turn the neuron codes into like a language kind of thing, and maybe find a way to recreate it. I would assume. But
so you just have Google Translate in your head.
For real. Like,
Speak every language.
Yeah. And that just leads to a whole lot of issues, man. I feel like privacy would probably be the main issue that's
hell yeah,
that'd be brought up, man. But I feel like if it's gonna happen, let's take it slow. Let's not rush too quick into it. I know Elon Musk has all these crazy ideas, but you know what? Actually, if we can find out what company is doing the production, let me know. So I can hit that stock market early. I'm trying to be rich, bro.
Man. What's going on? What do you think?
Yeah, I got mixed feelings on that too, because I like the idea of being able to increase the whole functionality of someone who's crippled in some way, shape, or form. But this is like Doc Ock story arc in Spider-Man, bro. Like he tries to, he got injured, he has the arms, and now he's like, yeah, I'm a superhuman, and goes crazy and tries to corrupt people. Yeah. So it's like there's a big part of it where I feel like you should not really be able to connect it to a computer that easily. They really need to work on that part because the hackers will just have a field day. Imagine there's like, a good 30 people in a room that are affected with some disorder that it helps them with, and then someone anonymous just comes and hacks that bad boy, and then all of them just that
ransomware,
right?
Pay us so we don't,
exactly.
Or they overheat the joint and fry your brain or something stupid like that. So a lot of has to be done on the security side. Make sure it's not easily accessible. It's not wireless or something. You got to be in some kind of tedious thing. Yeah. They also got to be careful with updating it and stuff like that because Neuralink 1 will be this new hotness, but then I got to get the Neuralink 2 because the Neuralink 1 can't get the update, and now all of a sudden I'm gonna get hacked and they're gonna make me stupid in the meeting room. Nah,
they're gonna turn into Apple.
Yeah, if that joint turns into Microsoft OS or Apple or Android or something joint like that, then it's gonna be messed up because then the poor people that get it are gonna fall behind. They're gonna be more vulnerable. They're gonna get taken advantage of, and all this.
That's another question I was gonna ask you guys.
Yeah.
So if it gets to that point where these chips in the brain will make you smarter, right? And your competing power in terms of, what you can earn and what industries that you can get into. Now, if it gets to the point where if you don't have one of these in your brain, your earning potential and power is very, very small.
Damn.
So for you to compete with someone else who has a computer in their brain and you gotta physically switch on the machine to earn your money.
Something like that can't survive in a capitalist society, because if it does, it's gonna ruin shit for everyone.
Yeah.
You gotta be more Marxist or something, because if it's something that has to be like government sponsored, everyone gets the same one, and even then, it's like, do you trust the government to put this thing in your head? People don't trust vaccines as it is, so it's like,
yeah, but when they start bringing things in slowly, right? So, say for instance, those people that have issues with mobility and whatnot, and then they upgrade. And they upgrade to something that, helps them out even further, then, that gives them, okay, I'm going to insert this extra program or this extra device that's going to give me the ability to, take someone's job or, be the most, learned person on the earth or whatnot. And the competition then is just going to be, extreme.
Yeah, all the rich people are going to get it before all the poor people.
That's what I was going to say. Like, that's just like, like the rich is going to get even richer.
Yeah.
No, but hear me out on this. So does this? What if we got to a point where people were just assigned roles in society? So, example, like you're talking about earning potential. You can only have specific people doing specific jobs.
Yeah.
And the reason why I thought about this is I don't know if you guys watched Futurama. You guys ever watched Futurama?
Yeah, I watched that as a kid.
So when Fry, who's the main character, when he was frozen in time and came back like 1,000 years later, he had to be assigned a job. So they put a chip in his hand or whatever, and on that chip, it literally did. They do like calculation and determine you're going to be doing this job for pretty much the rest of your life, and they implant the chip, right? So maybe in that case, I mean, if people have pre-assigned roles that they're going to play in society, maybe it might make sense, because then it's not really stealing anybody's job. You're already assigned to do this. You play this specific role.
That's a sad world to live in.
Who's setting the criteria for that, though?
But you can just think about the world that we're living in now. 50 years ago, for example.
Yeah.
The people that, our parents and so on, that if they had thought about a world like this as it is right now, 50 years ago, they would have been like, nah, we wouldn't let that, get to that point. But we're here.
Yeah, like, I mean, we see the jokes all the time where just for us, like as kids, like you play outside, you do this. Now kids, what they do, they're on their phones all the time, all this. And we are too, not to say that, it's only the kids, but times definitely do change, but at the same time, I feel like there has to be some, and maybe it's for me being like a little old school. Like I said, like when I go to work, like I still, I got notepads here. I still write everything like pen and paper. So I'm old school like that. Like I won't even take notes on my computer if I go to a meeting or whatnot. But I don't know. Like I feel like there has to be a limit at some point on like how much we just depend like on technology and like how much our life is, determined by technology. Like, if we're pre-assigned when we're born, like you get a chip and you're like, oh, you're going to become a doctor. And then you grow up and you're like, hold on, man. Like, I want to be a plumber. Now, like, but no, you've been pre-assigned as like, man.
I'm just going to touch on this briefly before we end this, right? And move on to the next topic. But say, for instance, in other cultures, okay, say for instance, your family were a family of farmers. That's what you were meant to be. And that's what you accepted that you were to be a farmer. So, it's the same way of thinking now. It's just because we've been conditioned to be a little bit more choosy in terms of where we can do, where we go and what we can do, and, what careers that we choose. We have that different way of thinking about life. But I think, things are starting to trend the other way now. And it's probably things that we don't even see, because a lot of the jobs that we do now are the ones that we know about. But then there's so many other jobs out there that we don't know about. And we're not privileged to know about, know? So
I feel like before we move on to that next topic, that it's like, who is setting the criteria for you to tell me that I'm supposed to do this job? Is it
Be a
based on
computer.
need?
It'd
Is
be a
it
computer.
It'd be a computer, just
It'd be
straight up like
completely random.
yeah,
Here's
just like
the thing, Sid. You're gonna be the best
no?
you can be at
The
that
thing,
job.
even if you get an AI to do it, there was some initial person who set the parameters for the AI.
Okay.
So it's like, no matter what, it's gonna be based on some kind of like standard, and it's just like, who are you to set this standard to say that I could do this job or that job? And then this ties into like the allegory in the cave. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that.
Familiarize me.
It's like it's basically like a philosophic principle where it's like, if you're, it's basically the Matrix. You know how when Morpheus was trying to show Neo that this world isn't what it seems to be, and then like Morpheus started doing this like gangsta stuff, and he was just like, whoa, what is that? And then like he believed him, and then like now he started like actually living in the world. That's the allegory in the cave. So if you just do this through the AI and just assign people their roles, there's gonna be some kind of revolution or revolt where people are gonna like see the in between the lines, and then aren't gonna comply to the standard that you've bestowed on them. They're gonna try and do whatever they have, and it's just human nature to try and free ourselves from shackles. I
like the theory of it, but the way I see the world going right now, we are in a position where we're being programmed more than we even think.
I mean, in
the workplace,
fluoride in the water,
watching TV. The fluoride in the water, the food that we eat in. Anyway, we can come back to this type of topic another time. I want to move on to something I wouldn't say more interesting, but a bit more thought provoking. And the topic that I'm moving on to is called the I love you topic. Okay.
Damn, I want to hear what Juju has to say about this.
So some of you might be feeling comfortable, someone might be feeling uncomfortable about some of the questions that might be highlighted right now. But we'll be discussing this on many different levels and different shows throughout the podcast that we do, and I'm sure of it. But the particular area I want to focus on now is not just a boyfriend and girlfriend perspective, or wife and husband, but also from a parent and child perspective as well. So many different ways of looking at this. So the first question I want to ask is, how comfortable are you with saying the words "I love you," and how do you feel when you say it?
I hate it.
I just call it the L word, man.
I'm not gonna lie. I hate saying that. I'm just like, I don't even know why. I'm just
yeah.
Bro, okay, so for me, it's crazy because, like, to my friends and family, I'll say it like this, I'll just come, like, I don't go a day without telling my mom I love her,
Yeah.
For me, that's just normal. Same thing with my sister. And I feel like my sister is even like more, like a little more uncomfortable with it. Like, even when I tell her, it's like I have to force it out of her.
Yeah.
Same with my friends. Like, I feel like it's so important, like that, they're aware that, that I love them and everything. So I'll tell them. But to another girl, bro, like, for me, it's like, because I don't know. For my friends, like, I feel like it's I don't say it to all my friends, right? Like, for me to say it to you, like, you gotta, like, we rock together, obviously. So for me to say it to like a girl, and like, I don't know, like, for me, that's uncomfortable. Like, that gets hard. Like,
that opens doors that we want to open it.
Yeah,
like, hey,
exactly. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, are we sure we there yet? Oh, it's been 5 years.
But I thought you said you love me, Juju. You're afraid of those lies, right?
Love don't mean nothing.
So, how about you, Sido? In terms of like outside the family side of things, is it easy for you to use?
Bruh, in general, just saying that word is just brings me great angst, my dude.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Relationship alone is just like, I don't know. Because for me, I grew up having just tough love where it was never really said. So
yeah, for real.
just to be saying it everywhere, and the effect that it got on people. It's just something I don't try to impart on anybody. Like, I love my bros, I love my peoples, I love y'all. So I said that, right?
Love you too, bro.
Yeah. But if it comes out of if you like pressure me and like saying it or something like that, I'm just gonna short circuit on you and just like so it's not really my thing. I don't say it often. If you hear me say it, it's coming from a very serious point of view. But if you hear me say it on a whim, I'm saying it just to like have the other person satisfied, not really for me.
Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah, it depends on the scenario.
Marquise, drop one on this, man.
I'd say I kind of take the same approach as Sido, because like where I'm from, like our family dynamic, I mean, it's not a requirement. Like it's expressed. Like we really don't really say I love you to each other. We just know that we love each other, and that's just how it is. I'd say even for my friends, I don't really tell them I love them or anything. I think one of the only times I really remember was I think I was on the phone with Juju one time after like the stuff happened in the past, or the passing of our friend, and like it got super emotional. I was like, yeah, you know what? I appreciate talking to you, and I love you, man. Like, just let me know that we're in it together. But other than that stuff, like I just don't feel myself uttering those words. However, I will if someone get some type of gratifications and they feel that they'd prefer I said it to them, like and that was the case, then I will say it to them.
Yeah, bro, come on, tell me more often.
Whisper in his ear, Marquise. Whisper in his ear.
And you know what? Also, you gotta set the precedent. Let's say you got a significant other, and like you guys have never really been saying the word "I love you," and then you can't expect all of a sudden to like just jump in and start saying that all the time, because I mean, it's kind of implied, it's implied in the actions. The words doesn't really mean anything. It's all about the actions, in my opinion. If I show you that I love you, then I really do love you. I don't need to tell you.
Yeah.
Girls
okay.
That's
going to fall into what we're going to discuss
bro,
next.
Hold on. I want to hear from you, OG.
Word. You can't run.
I was about to fill in. Don't worry. Before I moved on, I was about to fill in.
Quick, man. Good one, bro.
Nah, straight up, like I'll say I love you. If I mean it, I will say it. And I think, growing up probably wasn't said as much to me as like you guys. But I think the difference is like when I had my daughter, that kind of brought it to the table, because that's at a point where, I don't know, within me, I just feel like that's something I would say to her every day from a baby till now. Before we get off the phone, I always say, I love you. And her response is, I love you too. And that's how it is. It's never a lot of times we have a joke about it. Like if I say I love you before if I say I love you too before I say I love you, then she kind of feels like, no, that's your role to say I love you first, right?
Yeah.
So over the years, it's been easier for me to understand what love is. So you could have different levels and different types of love. And I think as what I've found from my background and friends and, the way we're talking right now, it's always been cast as like a non-macho kind of thing for a man to say it, or if we're saying I love you, we're giving away part of ourselves for someone to then hold on to and be like, yeah, you owe me this because you said these words. But as I said, there's many different levels of love, and you could love somebody or you could be in love with somebody. And that's always something I put on the table. I might love you, but am I in love with you is two different things.
For sure.
And I think if you can use that in your own language to communicate the right elements of what people need to hear. And some people need to hear it. Some people need to see it. People need to feel it. So with that said, there's 5 different love languages. So the first one is words of affirmation. So people need to hear the words that mean I love you. not necessarily those words, but, making sure that they feel understand, including listening to them, reasoning, the right level of how you communicate with them voice-wise and so on. And then you got quality time. Some people feel love because you spend one-to-one time with them. You're not, on your phone doing stuff. You're not watching a movie. You actually spend that time with that person, and it shows the love. Then you got receiving gifts. And that's the area I fall into. And the receiving gift side of it is not necessarily just, oh, she got me a MacBook. Yeah, I feel love. But it's the fact that if you're out and you bring me back a bag of cookies or something like that, then to me, it's kind of like, you thought about me. There's that connection.
Exactly. Small gestures.
Yeah. And there's acts of service. So, picking up the burden for other people and just making sure, they're not overrun, and, you're doing your bit to make sure they're okay, or going that extra mile for them. Some people might find that as a love. And also the last one, physical touch. Okay, so some people like to be touched, hugged quite often, stroked, patted on the head, patted on the back, all these kinds of ways of showing love to somebody. Now, we all have little elements of these that we like, you know. Words of affirmation. You want to hear those words from your partner or your parent. Quality time. You want your parent to spend quality time with you or your other half. Receiving gifts. I'm sure we all like receiving gifts, right? Okay, maybe
I've got a lot of useless gifts in my life.
I don't really no.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that's actually one of my last ones. I think that was like 4 out of 5.
Yeah. Okay. See, for me, that's quite high.
Yeah.
And, I relate that a lot to, the way I grew up and things like that. I'm an only child, and, sometimes me looking forward and having something exciting was, a gift that was coming for my birthday or something like that. So I kind of relate to that maybe. But yeah, there's many different areas of, being loved, but also giving love. So it's understanding the other person's perspective of how they want to be loved, but also that person understanding how you like to be loved. And it can't be, I'm going to do this for you because this is how I like to do it. I don't care if this is your expectations of love. You got to tune in with the other person and understand, like, the things that you need to do to show that you love them. And, sometimes it could be words saying I love you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need those words, but, understanding that, I think, will, enable us to progress and develop in our relationships and get more understanding of each other.
I think that's so, I think you just broke it all down, because that's, for me, it took me some time figuring that out. And in previous relationships and everything, and just realizing, I think I always had that mindset of like, oh, this is how I appreciate love, so this is the most valuable way to show love. And I actually refused to take that test for like forever. Like, people would tell me like, oh, take it. Like, it's so interesting, all that. And I was like, no, I ain't taking that. Like, that's stupid. That would make sense. And then I took it, and I finally understood. And I was like, oh, shoot, like, this is my love language, right? And I had to ask, now, like, before I get into any kind of relationship, like, honestly, like, not just romantic, like, but if I'm talking to someone, I'm like, take the love language, because I want to know, it's part of figuring out how do I better myself as a person and accommodate for everyone's needs. Because, that's one thing that I think our world could do a better job at, in just understanding, we don't all have the same needs, and there's no such thing almost as like, facts anymore. We can't just use like, oh, statistics and this and that to interact with each other. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, we have to understand that, everyone has different needs, and we all receive love and show love differently. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So you guys, do you think if you were to understand what your love language was, would it help you out in life, or are you just waiting to see what happens?
Mix of two for me.
I would say I've actually never taken this test. I took it yesterday though, just to see. Yeah. And the results were, I guess, kind of what I expected. Like, for me, acts of service is like pretty high up there. Yeah. And I guess that goes back to like what I was saying earlier. Like, with me and my family, it's more about what we do for each other, and like that's how we kind of show our love. Like we don't have to have a certain way of doing things. That's just how it is for us, and it's what's worked. It's all I know, and that's kind of the love that I know how to give. Like, if I love you, I'll go the extra mile for you. I'll do for you what you like. Let's say you need something done, I'll come help out you, help you out if I can. So I guess it kind of just reaffirmed what I thought my love language would be. As to what you said, like getting other people to take the test, you know what? It kind of makes sense. You might be able to relate to them, or like know how to deal with their love language once you know what really works for them. So I like that point, Juju. I think that's something I'd probably implement in the future.
Hi, man. I appreciate that, dog.
Has anyone, Juju, that you've told to take the test thought you were trying to be some kind of manipulative mood or anything like that?
Man,
it's like, why you want to know my language for? Huh? Like,
it is. You're right, bro. It is always received like some weird kind of way, right? Because like you ask people to take the test as you're like very early and talking, and they're like, "Oh, hold on, like we're just talking. It's not that serious. Like, are you trying? What you trying to do here?" And it might be interpreted as like maybe like moving too fast or whatnot, but for me, I just think it's so important to understand, no matter how early it is. For me, my top one is quality time, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't know, like if in your mind you're just like, oh, I just took you out, I bought you dinner, but I was on my phone the whole time. In your mind, you're like, we had a great date, I bought this guy dinner, but in my mind, I'm like, bro, I'm going home. I'm like, man, this was a waste of my time. Like, I ain't speak to this person, right? So I think it is important at any stage if we want to develop, or if we want to just have, it doesn't have to develop into a long-term relationship and marriage and all that. But if we want to turn this into a friendship and this and that, like we got to understand each other, right? So it is always, it's not always received in the best way. But it is what it is. I feel like I'm not going to change who I am, right? Like I'm always going to be out there, because when I ask people to take the test, it's for me to show them love better. It's because I want to be a good person to them. So it's not necessarily, if they ask me about mine, I'm like, cool, I'll share it. But at the end of the day, I'm like secure enough as a person that I'm like, if this person don't show me the time of day, like I don't have time to waste on that person.
Yeah. For real, I think it should be like a mandatory, before you go out on a date. you do this questionnaire and you hand it to them, and they understand that this is what I like.
It should be on all them dating apps, man.
Here's my love language. 5, 4, 3, 2. You can't align with these chakras over here. I don't want no part of it.
Put that on the checklist, man. Wow. All right, then. Cool. All right, guys. So time is moving swiftly. So what we're going to do is, I have another topic, but I'm going to bring that back to the table on a plate another date. So what I want to do is come back to one of those topics later on, which is about technology and the future. As you guys know already, for the listeners and the viewers out there who don't know, I'm quite a geek and techie. So I'm going to introduce myself and who I am and give you a bit of my background. And then the guys are going to run through some questions that were posted on our Instagram. And I'll try and answer them as well as I can. And, we'll take it from there. So the name's Rock, a.k.a. Mr. Rock. Birthplace, the UK. From
Birmingham.
From a city called Birmingham.
Yes, sir.
Straight out of Birmingham. It's the second largest city in the UK. So I lived there, most of my life, up until probably about 8-9 years ago when I moved down south and I moved to London. And, I was living there, working, enjoying life and things like that. And, I've always always had a dream of, moving to Toronto since I was like 17, which is how many years ago, I ain't going to share with you. But I was given well, I looked for an opportunity. I won't say I was given it. I actually looked for it. I started communicating within the company and finding out, what other offices we had and how I could, transition over there. And, I made it work. As I said, so many years ago, that was my plan. And then I had my daughter. So, I was committed to making sure I was there for my daughter and raising her the right way. She's 21 now. So, it gave me the opportunity to say, hey, now you're more stable on your feet, you're, doing good things and you're progressing in life. Dad's going to take a trip across the water, and try life from a different perspective. So, yeah, I've been here just about a year and a half now, enjoying life, enjoying work, enjoying meeting new friends. And, now I have a beautiful lady here, which I'm settled down with, which is something I've looked for many, many years. So I'm happy. I'm enjoying life, but at the same time, I still miss family back in the UK. But, once this period of what's happening in the world is over, we'll be able to move back and forth a bit more easier. So my family background, Caribbean. My mum and my dad are from an island called Carriacou, which is in the Grenadines. So we have a lot of family in Carriacou and Grenada. And then a lot of my grandparents and uncles and aunts and stuff like that are also from St. Vincent and Union Island. So, there's quite a lot of family in different islands in and around the Caribbean. So, I pride myself in being from the Caribbean, even though I was born in the UK. I'm very much a strategic. So I always look at a problem and think of many ways of how I can, resolve that problem. And the main things that go through my head are usually why, how, and what if. And if you speak to my daughter, she'll tell you the exact same thing. That's always what goes through my head every day. And yeah, I've got 21-year-old daughter. The biggest impact in my life. Without her, I wouldn't be who I am today. And, many listeners out there who don't have children or do have children, just know that the impact that your child makes in your life is a big, big thing. I don't think there's anything else that you'll ever come across in your life that will make that difference. So I have a degree in multimedia tech, a diploma in professional sound and video engineering. I have a diploma in teaching and some other qualifications in business-related subjects. I always like to be learning, always like to be, trying to get a certificate for something, not just for the paper, but to understand that I can push myself and get through and learn something that I can implement into the real world. I've been in IT for over 15 years. I've done things like IT support, IT process management, and also training, built machines, done some of the things that Sid's done as well. We're talking about, breaking machines down and putting together like Lego. Yep. Those are things that, made me who I am right at the beginning. I ran my own business for 3 years. So I worked in the community, working with young people from deprived backgrounds. I helped them, learn and build their technology, understanding and education, but also got them to work in the communities to show and give something back to their communities to show that they're actually, positive and impacting what happens in and around. I worked with 250 young people on those projects over those years. Also worked with 100 older generation people in understanding how IT works and making sure that they were secure when being online and how to protect their young ones from exposure to things online. So things about my personality, I'm a deep thinker, always researching, always trying to problem solve something. If anyone comes to me with a question or, put something to me, I'm always going to dig it. I'm always going to try and break it. I'm always going to try and give you my perspective of how you could improve it or how to look at it from a different angle. I'm just a problem solver like that. I can't see any other way around how I manage things. I'm very approachable, even though, a lot of people in my past have said, you looked so unapproachable when I first saw you, so I never really spoke to you and whatnot. But once they get to know me, I'm that smiley guy. I think I am anyway. I'm witty, always bringing that UK banter, as we call it in the UK. Yeah. And people don't think I'm social. I'm a social person, but I always have to find a connection with a group of people or with people one-on-one for me to really tie in and spend time and talk and communicate with people. So one of the main things I just want to just highlight before I, go on talking about myself, I'm very much a hobbyist. So you'll hardly ever see me at home just sitting around doing nothing. Those that have known me for years know that I touch and get onto many different things, many different hobbies in my spare time. And I think over the years, it's enabled me to understand many different areas of life, industry, how people work, build connections with people and so on. I used to produce music way back in the day, thought I was going to be the next Dr. Dre. You'll probably see some people hollering at me on Instagram after this is posted saying, yeah, Rocky used to build some badass beats. But I don't really get into the beat creation as much nowadays. I'm into DJing, so I'm learning to DJ because I love music, love every type of genre of music. It just brings so much to my soul that, I had to, get on the decks and start to learn that so I can, share that love to the audience and other people. I do videography, love to read self-help books. They've helped me so much because it's a way of learning from multiple different people in one place. Instead of you having to build so many different relationships, you can pick up a book and read and get so much knowledge from that in, 1 or 2 days of reading it. That would take you a lifetime to actually speak to those people to get that information. So I always, push people to, read as much as they can when they can, use things that are going to develop them rather than entertain them. One of the highlighted books I want to talk about is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's a key book. I think everybody should read that. It gives you so many perspectives on life and how you can help and move and develop your own self.
My library.
As I said, self-confessed geek. If I had endless money, I'd have endless tech in the house. Anytime I can buy a gadget, I'm getting one. I'm learning about it. I'm finding out how many different ways I can use that and implement it. And then when something new comes out, I'm like, hey, something new comes. So I have to jump on that. And just one of the last things is that actually started to design clothing. So, what I'm doing right now is taking clothing and breaking it down, reconstructing it and making it something that I want rather than, going to a store and paying. I see these people paying hundreds of dollars on, a t-shirt or a sweater that's just plain and basic. I'm like, what's the point? Whereas you could go buy 2 items that you like, put them together, making something different. And I kind of highlight that because in the background is one of my creations. I've been waiting all summer to bust that out, so I should be able to bust that anytime soon. So if you see me walking around and looking fresh, it's probably something I created, man.
Nike, don't sue us.
Hey.
But link to the merch coming soon.
And Marquise ain't no free shit over here.
I'm dead. Damn, you can't even make him a new do-rag, dog?
Stop.
Okay, so even though I've enjoyed talking about myself, as I do, if you get to know me, you'll know that's my character. But what I want to do now is just push it over to you guys. You have a list of questions that might expand in different areas that I haven't spoke about. So whoever wants to rock first.
I'll go. I guess I have a personal question first before I jump into these questions from the viewers. Yeah. And one thing I always love is how much you talk about your daughter. And we've had a lot of personal conversations, obviously, outside of this podcast. And for myself, wanting to be a father real bad, like what would you say has been the biggest thing you've learned being a father and being a father over the course of your life, really?
The biggest thing I've learned is probably patience. And the reason why I say patience, because the patience that you have for your child, it grows into so many different ways from birth, from a screaming child to a teenager that's just mouthy to a person that is now being able to go out and do as they please and, make their own decisions and tell you what they think about things and stuff like that. I think patience is one of the key things about being a parent and is able to, sometimes step back I'm learning more now to step back as my daughter's getting to that age and just shut my mouth. Because sometimes
For sure.
dad isn't needed to give his opinion on that point. Sometimes you have to let them go out. As long as you build a good enough relationship, they will understand your morals and what you expect from them. And sometimes you have to be like, well, you know what I expect, you know what, and then you just leave them to it. And it's either for them to choose the right path or to choose the wrong path. End of the day, they're grown. So, yeah, patience. Marquise, you have a question?
Yeah, Rock. Actually, I got one question for you. It's interesting that you say people find you unapproachable or hard to connect with. I don't know if that's a thing, but I was just wondering, what are the kind of qualities you're looking for in let's say the people you're trying to connect with and the people you're trying to meet and let's say be friends with. What kind of qualities are you looking for in them?
I would say honest, genuine people. So I don't really get, close to people that are out there to show how much of this they are and, how fancy they are and blah, blah, blah. Especially when you first meet them. If we build a relationship, then we can talk about that. Weird. But if I just meet you and you're like this flashy person that wants to show off and be in the spotlight or whatnot, that's one thing that pushes me away from people, because I don't know, I never gravitated to people like that. So honest people, people who say it how it is. I'd rather that you tell me that you think I'm an idiot or you don't like me than run around and act like you like me when I know you can't stand my guts. I'd rather you just tell me.
I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I'm a little upset because when we first met, I was trying to get this guy to come out, go to the Raptors game, try to chill.
Yeah.
And then this guy's like, "Nah, I can't." I thought it was me. I thought you didn't. It was. I'm the one. I'm the reason why you didn't want to come.
Nah, I blame Juju as well. So
yeah, I was gonna say when you said all that stuff about flashy people, I was like, "Damn, that's why he ain't like me."
I think the main reason was that it was just when I was finishing work, I was thinking about going home and I'm never really that person that likes to finish work and be out and about. Right. Especially out and about wearing, suit and tie and stuff like that. I'm like,
So that's the opposite, because everyone from the UK just wants to just go straight to the pub and whatnot, have a drink or two, and then another drink turns into another drink.
Yeah, all
that's people in London. He's from Birmingham.
Got a good point there.
Yeah, that's not how the top boy moves, man. Come on.
But yeah, I'm not really into that. Like if I need to build a rapport with people or whatnot, or a group of people, then I can do that. But yeah, in terms of not hanging out with you guys as much, it's just me just being lazy and just not wanting to put myself, I guess, in an uncomfortable zone, in a sense of, not wearing, jeans, hat, sneakers, and just being out for the rest of the afternoon. So yeah.
No, it's cool. I'm just giving you a hard time, bro. We good.
Yeah.
No worries. When you come back home, man, we're going to take this camera
I can give Mark a hard time.
We can squash it once and for all.
Yeah, so Sid, anything coming from you?
Yeah, my question, you mentioned that you got a lot of family from a lot of different Caribbean islands and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been to any of those islands?
I haven't been back for quite a few years. Okay. So, I've been to Union Island, been to Grenada, been to Carriacou, I've been to St. Vincent once. That was only a stop through, but I haven't really pushed to go back of recent. And it's something that I know I should be doing. I don't know why I don't have that much of a drive. I think it's more so if I plan to go with a lot of my family that are here in Canada now, they're more on the let's go. So I'm more enticed to go, whereas before it'd be like I'm going and then meeting family there, because that's how I've always traveled in my life. Yeah. I've always gone to family rather than gone with family. So I think that's probably one of the key things. But apart from that, I'm just scared of the mosquitoes because they're going to eat me alive because I ain't been there for so many years.
You smell that fresh blood.
Yeah, man. That UK.
Yo, rough, man.
Yo, bro.
I'm gonna jump into these questions from the gram, and actually, this is a question I would have loved to ask myself, but this is a good one. Someone's asking if you could only wear 2 pairs of kicks for the rest of your life, what would they be and why?
I gotta go to the main ones, man. So Jordan 6, infrared 6, black,
First
infrared.
championship.
Yeah, they greatest of all time shoe. I just think the modeling and the coloring of it is just. I've had 2 pairs. I have a pair that's just on ice right now. I ain't done nothing with it. I'm afraid to wear them. And the other pair would be the Concord 11s.
Ooh,
Because that's another classic. Like,
Iconic
ain't
one,
no
man.
other 2 shoes I feel can touch those 2 classics. So that'll be my 2 shoes, man.
sticking with the Jordans, man.
Sticking with the J's, man.
Yeah, I'm just nodding my head, but I have no idea what those shoes are.
I should have brought them in and showed you, man.
Yeah,
know-
we should have brought it
I
up.
know the Concord 11s. I don't know the Jordan
The
6s
sixes?
like that.
The infrared 6s. That's
feel like I
those are the
should know
shoes
those.
Michael Jordan won his first championship on.
Yeah, man.
I thought those
Yeah.
were ones, but never mind.
Cold, man.
Only other things I know is like Aqua 8s and like the 4s. Yeah, I'm not really a sneakerhead like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
yeah,
sounds
we
it,
get-
Sid, don't worry.
Ooh,
I'll
ouch.
school you, man.
I'm gonna just get out of camera.
I'm gonna jump into the next question here.
Okay.
Graham. This one's kind of interesting. It's like someone says, "How long do you think you'd last in the event of a zombie apocalypse?" Let's say the Walking Dead came through, and it's like,
I think I'll probably last quite long, actually, because I'm a guy that likes to stay at home, right? So I ain't gotta be out here like looking for, getting caught up with any zombies or anything like that. The second side of it, if I knew it was coming, I'd probably get one of my main boys from back in the day. I'll fly him over here because he watches all the zombie shows and all the movies.
oh, word.
So we would know exactly what to do. So we should be cool, man.
Word. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, another question from the Instagram users is how many pairs of sneakers do you own?
I think I'm probably on 70. I'd say about 74 pairs.
Damn.
But before I left the UK, I did get rid of about 25 pairs. Before I left Birmingham, back in the day, I did get rid of like another 40 pairs. So,
How'd you even ship them over here?
yo, some big crates, man.
When you're,
Trust me,
bro, when you're a sneakerhead,
I
you
had to
find a
pay.
way, bro.
Yeah, man, I
I'm telling you,
wasn't leaving without
everywhere
my
I go,
sneaks.
I take all my sneakers. Well, not all of them, but I got sneakers everywhere. Every property that is somewhat linked to Juju, like my mama house, my uncle house, there's sneakers
Stashing
everywhere.
them.
Yeah, you find a way, bro.
I had boxes and boxes, and I got rid of some before it came just to reduce the cost. But in the year and a half that I've been here, I made those back up, man. So it's okay.
He was like, I bought them right back into Canada.
I'm telling you, man.
All right, I have a question here, and someone's asking, "How's the beat making going?" You spoke about it a little bit in your description.
Yeah, the beat making. I keep saying to myself, I'm gonna jump back on the beats, and I haven't really. I keep attempting to and building something and getting frustrated, and I'm moving on to something else. But yeah, I really want to get back on it, but I think sometimes I just need to be around the right environment, the right people, to give me those creative juices to start flowing again and give me a reason. I think one of the reasons why I stopped producing music back in the day is because I didn't really have a real reason to be making music. I didn't have anybody that I connected with on that level to kind of keep me driven. And that's why I kind of lost my passion for it for a good while. And then other things came up, and yeah, that's how it is.
Interesting. Actually, Rock, I think one question maybe the people would want to know is, this is not from the gram, but I'm gonna just throw this out there. Why did you want to start the podcast, or what makes you want to do this podcast?
Yeah, so previously I'd heard about the podcast and what you guys are doing, and I was properly intrigued. I was kind of like, yo, I was like, I want to be part of this. I want to be.
Words getting around town, eh?
Yeah. So
we famous, bro. We famous.
So back in the UK, before I left, I was supposed to be part of another podcast, and there was a lot of talk, but nothing really progressed out of it. And I had the equipment and everything like that, and there was something in just knowing the guys that were going to be, you guys that were going to be part of it. It just gave me a bit of like insight to be, there's something I can bring to the table with a different perspective. We're all black men, but we all have something additional that we're going to share with each other and expand on and things like that. And it's also a way of me learning, not just from the audience's questions, but from you guys and the research that we do before the shows and things like that. So, and it's been really intriguing, and the way we're working together and we're developing all the things that we're doing off camera is some real good stuff that is going to impact us as we're going along and open up hopefully more doors in the future and enable us to expand. So,
what made you go into tech so early in your career?
The reason why I got into tech, as a young kid, my mum used to tell me off all the time, because if we had something new in the house that was electric, I used to find the screwdriver and take it apart to see what was inside. Yeah.
Typical
I'd
engineer.
get something for Christmas. And back in the day, we didn't really have rechargeable batteries like that. So once the batteries were done and I didn't have the money to buy anything new, the next best thing to do with a toy is open it and see how it works. Word. So over time, I used to, take something out of one electrical appliance and try and add it to another appliance and things like that. And as I grew up, I just always fascinated with tech and, robots in the future and, things like that. That's why my main movies that I love are futuristic movies, because it gives me an insight as to what's coming, and it excites me. Sometimes it shouldn't, but it does. And when I started to get into music, one of my cousins helped me out right at the beginning. He gave me a computer, and the same as you said, I had a computer and it wasn't doing what I needed to do, so I had to break it down and figure out, like, how can I make this faster? How can I add a new hard drive in this? And then it went from that to buying parts to build another machine to get into music. And then people would always see me as the person to go to if they have computer problems. And the greatest thing about having a knowledge of a particular area is that you can trade with other people. So I have a cousin that is a mechanic. So I always used to help him out with his computer. He always used to help me out with my car. So, it's always an even exchange. So, yeah, it's always enticed me to get into it because of the development of technology and where it's going and what it does for people, and also how it entertains me.
Nice.
Okay, thank you everybody for taking the time to listen to what we had to say today. Hopefully we've shared some interesting points of views and ways of expanding your knowledge from our knowledge. And we always look forward to questions that you post into us, because it enables us to expand and look deeper into ourselves to answer those questions. And we're just going to wrap up right now. And what I need you all to do is follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all of them platforms. We'll be sharing all that over the next weeks. So thanks for listening. Catch you all later. Peace.
Later, y'all.
Peace.
Deuces.
Check in next week.
Yay.
Is it on go, or is it on 3, or is it on 1?
Problematic.
On Marquise.
Problematic. Cookout podcast. Yeah, Sito in the building. Problematic.
It's your boy Jude.
Problematic Cookout podcast. Problematic.